Good morning. Welcome to Rise and Thrive with Dr. J. Nicole. I am your host, Dr. J. Nicole, and here we rise in faith and thrive in purpose. Today, we are joined by a special guest, and I know I say everybody special, but he's really special to me. This is my dear friend, my brother, my play cousin, Dr. Owan Edwards. I had the privilege of meeting him back in 2008 when I was working at University of Maryland, and he had come in as a resident director, and we immediately met and clicked, and we've been family ever since. And we're going to be talking about faith over fear and really what it's like to trust God when we can't see the next step. But before we get into all of that, I want to tell you about my friend because my friends are a God deal. Not a big deal, but a God deal. Okay. So, Dr. Owen Edwards is a higher education leader with 20 years of experience supporting student growth, staff development, and inclusive leadership. A proud native of Detroit. So, come on, D, stand up. He recently earned his PhD in higher education from Florida State University, where his research explored mentoring, faculty development, and anti woke legislation. You doing the Lord's work, getting in good trouble over there. Guided by faith and purpose, Dr. Edwards believes in the power of listening to God when navigating fear and uncertainty. Welcome, friend.
Thank you, thank you. That was so sweet. Thank you. Very kind.
Yes. And I'm really happy for you to be here. And I'm gonna tell y'all a funny story. So when me and Owan gets together, we yaps. We talk. And Owan said the funniest thing to me. I don't remember what year it is, but he had the nerve, y'all, to call me the queen of talk. And, it's funny now, right? But then I said, "I know you're not talking. You talk just as much as me, if not more. So if I'm the queen, you the king," right? Not knowing
Listen,
that a moment was going to come where we would be in seats as king and queen of talk right now in this moment. So you spoke life into me, friend.
listen, sometimes I am prophetic, and I would that's what I was thinking about as I was shifting and preparing for the podcast. I said, daggone it, queen of talk. Like, here we are.
Here we
So
are.
listen, and hey, you said me too, so in our own right. But I am so proud of you, friend, and I'm glad that you moved forward in the vision that God has placed in your mind or in your heart, or whether we're both at the same time. So
Yes.
kudos, and I'm excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you for being here and thank you for being you. And I know we about to have a good time. And let's try not to get into too much trouble, but we gonna have fun.
All right.
Okay. Um, all right. So fear often creeps in when we step into the unknown, whether it's a career shift, relationship change, or even a season of waiting. But faith calls for us to trust God's plan, even when we can't see what's next. In this episode, we're going to discuss what does it really mean to walk by faith, to surrender control, as well as embracing divine timing, especially when that path looking real dusty, it ain't cleared and it ain't certain, right? All right, Owan. So I'm gonna put some more respect on your name, Doc. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Doc.
Okay.
So what does it mean to like choose faith over fear? And I'm
Hmm.
emphasizing that word choose.
Okay. So to choose faith over fear, first of all, that's a good question. And it can be a very loaded question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm reminded of leading up to me pursuing the PhD, right?
Okay.
So I knew and in my mind thought at the time, I'm staying in Maryland or DC to do this,
Yeah,
Lord.
we
And
ain't want
so
you to leave.
we're right. Listen. So when really getting into that thing, and some people don't know, that was actually about a 5 to 4 year process
Mm-hmm.
in the grand scheme of things, right? I had to go back to um my faith and the foundation. So I'm a PK church kid and still stayed involved in church once I got to DC,
Time
right?
out. Time
So I
out.
was
Let me just tell you
yes.
something. I keep saying
What?
this. There's so many PKs in my life. When I
Yes.
tell you I forgotten, like, I hold on. You're like the fifth PK. Like y'all been all. I'm not even kidding, and it's not even intentional. Like I was like, I did not know you was a PK. And then someone else that I met, they're like newer, like like a year ago, and I'm like, what? You're a PK? Like what?
Yeah,
Like all these PK?
yeah,
But I guess it makes sense.
yeah, yeah. So listen, because of that, hopefully I have the word hidden in my heart.
It's in there.
Listen, so when thinking about faith, flat out off the top, I know that, you know, faith without works is dead,
Come on.
right? And that comes from really my grandmother instilling that, and she would say that's James 2nd chapter 26th verse.
217. Oh, I thought it
Yeah.
was yeah. Because I just
Oh,
look. I did a talk on it yesterday.
okay, okay. And so and she would say to me, "Owan, you take the first step, God will do the rest." But when it goes back to the trusting part, I know the other thing is, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not
That's
seen.
it.
Um, and you talked about faith. So that's what I go to when I say faith. Then you mentioned the whole thing around fear. Fear in the natural world means something that is dangerous,
Mhm.
something that you not might not want to approach,
Mhm.
right? Because of
Mhm.
the fear of the unknown.
Mhm.
But again, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power of love and a sound mind. So, with that being stated,
Mhm.
because I have these, in my mind, and I believe it, and as believers, we should activate our faith. It was one of those things where also, and representation is everything because
Okay.
I can go on my cell phone and instantly just text PhDs,
Mhm.
call PhDs, and you were working on your PhD at the time, right?
Mhm.
So all of those things came together in terms of my faith because I said, well, if you know that you really want to do a PhD and you have PhDs in your life, like even my godson's mother, right?
Yep. And
It's
she was
possible.
early getting hers.
Very.
Yeah.
You went like straight through. And
Mhm.
so with all of those things being said, that is what helped me to overcome the unknown. Now, the reason why I had to overcome an unknown is because, and your listeners can probably relate to this. Have you ever been in a job that was just not quite it?
Mm.
You start to think, okay, Lord, what is this? I've never been here before. Originally, I moved to Maryland like you said, to work at University of Maryland College Park and stayed for 7 years. There are people there who still know and love both of us,
Yep,
right? We long
absolutely.
gone. That's family right there. They gave us an
Some of them
opportunity
are
of a
pillars now. They are pillars of
listen,
the institution.
listen, and they helped us the beginning stages of changing our lives forever, right? Um, and so I said that to say, I had a job like as a recruiter, right? And what ended
Mhm.
up happening is they were sending me to all of the colleges in the DMV.
Mm.
So I know them quite well. One day I text my mother a picture of me recruiting. I was at some school. Who knows? Okay. So many.
Mhm.
And I said, look, mom, here I am doing my thing. And she goes, wow, son, this is awesome. I can see you're really in your element. And then I'm very reflective. So I'm thinking of this throughout the day. In my element. No, 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 mama. I'm in my element because I'm back on a college campus. This recruiting is, it's easier to recruit somebody for a 90K, 100K job. A little bit, it's more challenging to do
Uh-huh.
recruiting somebody for, let's just say, anything lower than that,
Yep,
especially in the DMV, right?
absolutely.
And so, thinking about that, that's when the wheels started to turn about, okay, well, you've had the conversations,
Mhm.
now's the time to do it if you really are going to do this thing. What are you going to do next? So that's when does that make sense? The
Mhm.
fear of the
Mhm. Yep, because I mean, there was so much so it wasn't as much fear as, "I don't know how this is gonna work out," which can give us pause. And when you were
right,
talking about the
right.
definition of fear, excuse me, I don't know who it was, and I'm sure it circulated around so many times that the original author is probably unknown, but they said that fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
Right,
I love
and
it.
all up in there, they got Satan all up in it because he is the author of confusion, right? So, like, as fake evidence appearing real. And that's where that faith comes in. So you can discern and you know the difference when you're hearing God, seeing God, experiencing God versus the enemy and how he tries to show up to talk you out of things. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you laid the definition about about it. So in part of your experience, but what did it mean to you to make the choice towards faith rather than fear?
It meant to so number 1, I believe in Jesus Christ, King
Okay.
Jesus, right? But I also very much so pay attention to the world around me and the universe because
God
we're
created
supposed to,
God created
right?
everything in there. Mhm.
Right, and they say as a believers, we are the salt of the earth, right? But
Mhm.
also as believers, and I'm glad I am a PK. My mother's parents were pastor and first lady, so they were really strict, but mom kind of flipped the script a little bit. Still raised, to believe in God and discover all my talents, gifts, and abilities. However, my mother on purposely raised me so that I wasn't so holy to the point I was no earthly good. That's not good for anybody either. It's actually a thing that my aunt used to say it often, the one you met who passed away, and then
Yes.
also, I was at Great Mount Calvary Holy Church for several years,
Yes,
and
you were.
co-pastor Susie used to say that often, and I'm just but it's true.
Mhm.
So now I'm going to remind you of something that you said, and you might not even remember this. So we were at our friend's pool party, the twins. We
Okay.
love the twins. At a pool party, right? So this will be a couple of years leading up to me pursuing the PhD. And this young man walked up to you at the pool party, beautiful rooftop, and he goes, I heard you were getting your PhD. And you're like, yes, just as kind as you normally are, kind and sweet. Yes, I'm working on my PhD. And he said, I want to do mine too. And you looked at him with that sweet smile and you said to him, then what are you willing to give up? And what you did not know, because I didn't reveal it to you all until a little bit later, further along, is you posed the question to that young man. We don't know who the young man was, okay? But you posed the
Yeah, I don't
question to
remember who
him,
he was, but I remember the conversation, yeah,
right? But the question stayed in my head.
'cause it was
And you
supposed
weren't
to.
talking to me. I was standing nearby, ear hustling, just kind of being observant. And I'm walking, back to my car or whatever. I'm like, what am I willing to give up? And that was a very interesting question because at that time in my life, I mean, very involved in singing the music ministry at Calvary.
Mhm.
I was, I have an incredible my tribe is in the DMV,
We here.
right?
We holding it down.
I have a godson and all. And then I feel like what else was there to give up? Just life, having fun, singing at open mic. And then last year, just before I left, I had nerve enough to be on the road singing with Ricky Diller and New G. Okay, so I have
Mhm.
all of these family, and that's still family. Okay, they're still family. And now, all of these things I had to ask myself because once I got into if I'm going to have to give something up.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? As far as pursuing the PhD, later it went to now that you have to give something up pursuing the PhD, can you give up living in the same state as your friends to pursue it? After being there a decade, let me just say that to the listener. I wasn't there. No, I was there an entire decade.
Rooted, anchored. Yeah. Never had to leave. Had somebody to call for everything, all the comfort. Yep. Yep.
God blessed me when I came to the DMV,
Absolutely.
and
He
you know
blessed
what?
all of us,
All of
honestly.
us. Look at how far you and I have come from 2008 to
And we
now.
were individuals just coming into this space. We didn't know who was here. Like, we didn't know what our family would look our family, right, would look like, and we
Yeah.
all are connected together. And you know me, I be bringing everybody, mixing and matching folks.
Listen, and do you know what though? That was the faith increase and activated because the faith was already increased because I prayed to get the job in Maryland
Yep,
and got it.
yep.
So I knew I could, I had to move away. I didn't have a reason to come to DC.
Mhm.
To be honest, I'll say this to too many people. I saw Buckingham Palace before I saw the White House. What?
Wow.
Because I ended up studying abroad while at
Yep.
Michigan State. Yeah. So, when I tell you, I already knew, had a strong faith because I was able to and I I did a job search across the country. I was fortunate to be able to do a job search across the country before I came to Maryland. So the faith thing was already, and I remember too, Dr. J saying to God, God, if you give me Maryland,
Mhm.
I will find a way to make sure I give you, glory, honor, and praise with the gifts you have and stuff. And I did do that. I
Mhm.
did do that.
Mhm.
And I know I did. So there were a number of things going on in my mind that I'm now, as some people say, was preparing to put on my big boy jaws and make the step. Are you going to do the EDD? Are you going to do the PhD? Are you going to stay in Maryland to do it? Or are you going to go away if the opportunity presents itself?
Yeah.
And there you have it.
Yeah. And that's a blessing, and I love what you said that, like, when you know, we be really negotiating with God. We really do be negotiating, and really Imma just leave that alone. But, like, we
Okay.
we we just we really be negotiating with God, but I love that what you said, like, "Father, I'm willing to give you all of this." I mean, you would give him the honor anyway, but just, like, I
Absolutely.
think there's that acknowledgement, that reverence towards him, like, it's super important, like, expressing, like, these are the desires of my heart. If you would be so kind, I will make sure that everybody knows, that I'm yours and you did this. Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Yes. So
The older folks say, if I can just
come
say, the older
on.
folks, if God has done something for you, you ought to show some sign.
Listen, you right.
Yeah.
Cause there's some people out here who covered and ain't no signs.
I'm
Unless you
gonna leave
really
that
you gotta
alone.
really dig and uncover it for real. Um, so when you think back about your journey, how did faith and uncertainty impact your, like, also, like, the physical journey, but also the spiritual journey?
Okay, I'm answering that question, but I'm gonna be flipping back and
Do
forth,
what you
okay?
need to do.
All right. All right. So as far as the natural, I'll start with that first. I was treated well where I was, okay? E even got a going away cake when I announced that. But the natural is, and I'm glad that this individual said that to me. I'm not gonna say the name of the organization, but there was another person on leadership who came into my office when I, had made it known I was going to leave the organization, and, uh, she closed the door. I will say this because that's important. She closed the door and she said to me, "Because you're young and basically gifted and black, if you can get out of here, you should because there is greater, I don't know what that is, but there is greater in you." And she would started crying and said, "I want you to know that you're an extremely likable person." It's almost like she was saying, "Do you know how hard it is to find somebody to work with someone like you?" But I'm just being me, and I'm but when somebody else wants you to know that point blank, you know, I said, "Wow." So, obviously, I've touched her life in some way by just working hard, but also being, the light that God has placed within me.
Yes, the lights.
Okay. Now the spiritual part, there are some people who don't like to be alone. I actually enjoy it because that is when I do hear from God.
Yes,
He can talk to me at any
absolutely.
given time. In my car, in the shower, about to take out the trash, he'll just hit me. And so I was at my dining room table and I said, God, I'm going to write a list. I like lists.
Mhm.
This is who I'm thinking to assist me in reading my personal statements. This is who I'm thinking. These are the schools I'm thinking about, right? So then I have a dear friend, Sabria, who you met at my PhD celebration. She's also a server. Sabria, know the Lord. Sabria said a prayer at my 30th birthday dinner that I really believe carried me all the way through the rest of my
Ooh,
30s.
that's a good
She,
prayer.
yeah, and we met at Calvary. That is my sister. Sabria wrote a book. Um, it was Anybody can read it, but I feel like it was more so geared towards, women in the faith, being, like, stuck in a rut, like, how do you get out? That's not the exact name of the book, but I went to her book signing, right? And we've always supported each other, And at the book signing, she signed my book. Thank you, bro. You've always been a real one. And then she did a talk after signing, and she goes up to the room and she does this talk. And within the talk, Sabria says, and there are some of you in the room that God has touched you and you're meant to go back to school. And it's not going to take you as long as some of the other people. I'm like, she could have possibly, I was at the dining room, and later I asked Sabria if she even remembers saying that. She said, no,
Nope.
absolutely not.
Nope.
I don't remember. So that was what really I said, dang, 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 this is the green light. Like, I came to support my sister like I normally would,
Mhm.
but for her to say that, she spoke to some other things too, but that part hit me right in the
Yeah.
chest. And so I went back, I talked to my dear friend, uh, Dr. Lane, and she said, well, also put, Florida on your list.
Mm.
Like, ma'am, didn't I just tell
Ain't nobody
you?
going to no
Listen,
Florida.
didn't I just tell you I'm in Maryland? You know me. We originally met at she's in my Michigan State family as well.
Okay.
But she was ahead of me. So I went and I looked, right? And when I looked at the program, I'm like, it was a no-brainer. Where I went for undergrad, Oakland University was established in 1957. This program had been established since 1957. I'm like, well, Lord, they got that covered. And then once I started looking at the faculty and just what they had to offer, and then that would be when I originally so Dr. Lane mentioned a Dr. Tamara Bertrand Jones, but then once I read, I said, "Oh wow!" So definitely going to be open to it, but it was last on the Florida was actually last on the list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you believe that? Last.
And
I mean,
last
I
shall
was
be
looking
first.
at I mean, I was looking at all the schools,
Yeah.
Howard,
Yeah.
University of
Yeah.
Maryland, University of Wisconsin,
You
Madison.
was gonna
I
go to
had,
Madison? I don't think I knew
uh,
you had Madison on your list.
let me give a disclaimer. All the things I did was intentional. All 5 of those schools I chose because I had family nearby.
Okay, that makes sense.
Ended up coming to Florida, and you know who's in Atlanta.
Yes, your brother
Because I knew I would have to have
and
some
your sister.
I say if you
I
huh?
see your brother and your sister. Yeah.
Right. Both brothers and my sister,
Oh,
cousins, you name it,
yeah.
yeah. You haven't met the one brother, yeah, but and y'all birthdays on the same day, so interesting, you haven't met, I know, right? We'll get to that later, yeah,
Okay.
you met Jeremy and Heather, Meek and Heather,
Yes.
but yeah, you haven't met Trey.
Okay.
But we're right along
And
because
that's
they're my
funny. And
heart.
then I'm a number three. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
Trey. We instant
crazy.
best friends when we do meet, or we'll meet through this episode.
Listen,
Hey, Trey.
you probably will,
Right.
probably
I know
will.
you go watch it. Your
Um
people always support you.
Yes, yes, love them. But to say that, and, I have family in
Mhm.
Milwaukee, and so they would have loved for me to go there,
Yes.
because I knew by that time, I knew, if you leave Maryland, you might want to have just some type of weekend getaway. Just I didn't know who I was going to meet once I got here, or what that
Absolutely.
was really going to look like. And now I'm going back to the natural. So we talked about the spiritual. One more thing about the natural.
Mhm.
When I said, your question, what are you willing to give up? I said, goodness, Lord, can I give up, being here with Dawn, Eddie, EK, Harry, Amy, Byron, just all my people, all the ones who were at my PhD celebration,
Mm.
basically, right? The others. Abby, can you do this? And I said, I had to think about that thing and pray about it too. And I came to the conclusion, yes, because in reality, you're seeing each other on the weekends and sometimes after work for dinner. Other than that, we're all going through the hustle and bustle of the day. We got to make a living,
Yeah.
right? And so that helped put things in perspective. I had to put it because it was not easy to leave. And some people I have, told me, "Oh, wow, when you left, it was kind of emotional." And I was telling my mom, it's emotional for them. I'm the one who left. At least they can still run into each other at the mall or the
But
restaurant or whatever. I know.
you were the glue with some of them because, like, as to be expected, right? Like, you're an awesome person, so you attract more awesome people, and you were the connector with some of these other relationships. Like, I love some of your friends, but Have I actually been able to, like, really build my own relationship with them? No, but every time we link up, it's a great time, and it's so genuine, and it's nothing but good vibes. So, like, it does make a difference. And, it's
You're
something
absolutely
when
right.
you it's different when you can just call and to be like, "Hey, what you doing? I'm on my way." Like, think of all those Sundays how we used to get together, watch Power together. Me, you, and Jerry. Like, we did that for at least like 2 seasons, like, where we were hooked before we had all Power Book 2 and 3 and all these spinoffs. We was on the first one. But, like, it's no surprise that that's like hard, and that's part of the journey. But also, once you're connected, you're always connected. Like, we were always going to be here. Just like you came back, we threw a whole party for you, everything to celebrate. You finished in May, but we celebrated in January, and it was everything that it needed to be. All the energy was like it had just happened because everybody couldn't make it to Florida. And who has a graduation party out of town? Okay? And, like, 6 months later, okay? Well, more than that. I'm like, 8 months later, but we were so excited to celebrate you, and what I love is and what I'm hearing is that you had multiple people speak prophetic words, and they didn't even know.
There's one more that happened once I got to Florida, but we'll get into that.
Okay,
Remind me to
yes.
tell you, yeah,
Yeah,
believe it or not.
and
Yeah.
there was so much in what your truth and what your friend said, when she did her talk, right? Theirs was
Mm,
not gonna take you as long. Owan finished before me, y'all.
yeah.
Owan finished before me. And I was up in that thing, but life was life in me. I was getting dragged because I was trying to do it my way. But the point is, I made it to the finish line, collected all this lesson and all this knowledge, and y'all gonna get it each week when y'all come back to watch Rise and Thrive with Dr. J. Nicole. And all the people that I met along the way, and then some, and to really be able to pour into you all. So, like, nothing is wasted in our experiences of life, and so I love the connection between how you're able to see what God does in the natural and the supernatural. And we get to embody it.
Listen, and also, I was right there front and center for your graduation. I was almost on the stage making sure.
Listen, you
Listen,
came
because
down and took pics. You did not care. I said, "That's my friend."
'cause I was gonna tell your professors, I came all the way from Florida. Y'all hush. Let me get my footage.
But you knew
But
Diddy
yes.
Crew. You weren't gonna do nothing but woo her and whoever else anyway. Everybody be loving you everywhere you go. So the power of, like, that light that's in you and not being afraid to shine it at all.
Yeah, honorary bison. And let me just say this, I was so proud when
Yeah.
you crossed the stage. I don't think I told you this. I told Jerry that evening. I said it was when she got across the stage, it was just hit me in my chest.
Mm.
I almost bursted out into tears, but, I had to get that footage, so but I'm so serious. I was like, I don't know why it hit me in such a way. Jerry is one of my best friends for the listeners, and you know what he said? "'Cause you've known her a lifetime and you know her story." And so
Baby.
when he said it like that, I said, "That" I mean,
Mm, mm, mm.
goodness gracious, you know what I mean? Because it's the journey to the PhD ain't easy for anybody,
It's
okay?
not even
Especially
that, just like the journey to life. Like, I came to
yes,
University of
yes,
Maryland in 2007, and then you came in '08. So, like, you watched me grow up. You know what I mean? There's so many levels to growing up. We watched each other grow up. We supported each other growing up. And so, like, with that, like you said, the stories, the conversations, the calls, the tears, the resilience, like the excitement, just me trying to find my way and never like allowing anything to get in my way. Like, and even though like Owan sang in I'm no longer married, but Owan sang in my wedding. Like,
yep.
Owan was in his first year of the PhD, and we know how serious that is. And the wedding was Memorial Day weekend. Owan found his way to Mexico, and he sang and was best dressed. You better know. The wedding
Get
photographer
yours.
had me dying. He was like, "Oh, your friends they dress."
Listen, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that love and support, and,
absolutely.
you're right, Jeannie, we met in our teachable 20s.
Come on, teachable 20s. I
When
like
I moved
that.
there, I was 24 because my 24th birthday just happened that July. I moved that August. I was 24 when I moved to Maryland.
Yep.
Wow,
Yep.
wow.
So we were very
Yep.
young. We were babies.
Mhm,
We didn't know. So
mhm.
so you know, and you've seen me grow. And you saw how green I was. But really that was, that was like my light, that innocence. I feel like that was God's bubble wrapping so that I didn't lose my light.
No, not at all. I remember when I first met you, you came down the hallway in Calvert Hall,
I thought I
and you
met
had
you
on
on
your
the bus first. But maybe that was the
no,
second time.
you came
I came
over
and
and
found you. That's
yeah,
on
and you
me.
extended your hand. "Hi, I'm Jeannie," because, hey, it's just being real. There aren't too many, Black
Yep.
IDs. We like to have our community within a community, and there is
Absolutely.
nothing wrong with that. And it was great because who would have thought we would end up being, lifetime, friends or friends for life.
Absolutely. You see, I was like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
came and found you. I already know what happened. Oh, we got
Got to
somebody
meet you.
new. Andy Black?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be over there. I'll pull up. You wanna go to lunch?"
Listen, I appreciated that too. Yeah.
Oh, man, 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 man. And then you even just like graduation, like, Owan, you showing up, that meant so much. So for listeners, I was going through a major transition. I was separating, just waiting for the courts to do their part for the divorce, and had moved back from New York. Like I was in this big, big, big transition, so many movement parts, trying to heal, figure out what God is doing next, what I'm supposed to do. I'm still working, like all of this stuff that was just like going on. I was actually exhausted during that time, friend. When I tell you, like emotionally like drained, and I also was having a hard time because it was just like this is supposed to be one of the happiest times of my life because it would be my biggest accomplishment to date, right? Getting a doctorate. This little girl from the south side of Racine, first generation college student, all these things, right? Like and getting a PhD. Friend, I really wasn't even all that happy.
You know, I just wanna say something
Mhm,
too because I you called and we're close. You called and you told me, about the separation that it eventually turned into divorce,
mhm.
but I was in the back of my mind because listen, I was laser focused and I had the support. I had everything I needed to finish
Yes.
4 years year round,
Yes,
and
you did.
anything that might have been an obstacle, it got shut down
Yeah.
because I also needed to finish before what? Before I ran out of money. So let's just be honest.
Yeah.
However, when I saw, no, we'll just say your ex-husband finished before you, and then I
Mhm.
had finished,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "No, I'm pulling as I climb in multiple ways." And so, I don't know if you liked the voice message I left
Listen,
you, but
I
I'm like,
remember.
"But I need you to know this. I left the voice message because I love and care about you. If I did not have cared, you never would have got a phone
Let
call."
me tell y'all
You
something.
know?
Oh, I was on
That's
my
my love.
phone. Like, what are we doing? Are we finishing? I can't even remember what all you said. I said, here he go. And I
And
listened
now
to
here
it.
you
I listened to it several times. I needed it. You know what I mean? We had the follow-up conversations and everything. So like thank you, right? Because like life was lifing, and we have to reprioritize things when things like that happen, because in I had no intent on taking that long. I went into that program. I was like, okay, I'll be done in 4 to 5 years. Took me way longer than that. But what was important is that I finished, and you definitely helped me so much because I was like, some cultures are different with PhDs where you don't have the structured hands-on people. And
Mhm.
sometimes people not even gonna touch you till you have defended a proposal. But it's like by that time, that's the easy way. Because like I was told, the hardest part is the proposal, defending it, right? Because you have to convince these well-established scholars along with IRB
Right.
that
Exactly.
and because I had human subjects, you have to convince them that this is a worthy study, it's a safe study, it's not gonna put people at harm or risk and all that, so on and so on. And because then
Mhm.
after that, you go do the thing, and then you're the
Right.
expert.
Exactly.
And I love my advisor for telling me that, but this is not a episode on the doctoral journey, so we gonna have to have you back to talk about that, right? But this
Right.
is all about faith and the walk and how all those things do look very different, right? Ooh. Okay,
Mm,
not to make myself sound all holy or nothing like that, but it's a
it's
lot of
alright.
different stories in the Bible where you see all this opposition that people had on their way to preparation, whether that was Moses, whether that was Joseph, all the stuff he went through. That man went to jail. That man, he got sold into slavery. Like all these things that happened to him to then become like the king of a nation, save a nation. Like, now, and I don't know what God doing for me, but I'm just happy if anybody hear this and they can heal it. You know what I'm saying? So
Same, absolutely.
yeah.
Mhm,
So it is about
mhm.
faith still, even though we went a little tangential.
It's alright. Queen and king of talk,
That's it.
we told
We doing it. Speaking of, are there any of the other examples of like faith from the Bible that you would like to like highlight or that you kind of like go to, since you a PK and everything?
Oh, you know what? Okay. So, yes. Once it was, decided that I, gonna go ahead and go to Florida, and do that and make that, move across the country. That's what I did. I didn't make no shift. I moved across the country, and I
Yes,
remember when Jerry and I were in the U-Haul, I remember you had him texting you every time we made it to a different state.
sure
I said,
did.
"Oh my
Sure
gosh."
did. I was like, where y'all at?
You know what? Just the love, and I remember at one point I said, "Who you texting?" Say, "It's," he says, "It's Jeannie, she asked me to." I said, "Lord have
And
mercy.
you did his
Am I
voice
out of
and
my
like
mind? I'm leaving that people that actually care to," you know?
you did his voice and cadence, and I could hear him saying it in his nonchalant way, just like you said.
Hey,
Mhm.
I asked what you're doing. Um, and so once I got here, um, the scripture about, if you have the faith just the size of a mustard
That's it.
seed, you can move mountains. You
Mountain.
can tell that mountain, "You go over there from my mouth to the Lord's ears." Growing up in church, my mom
Mm.
and my cousin Tosh used to have me lead this song called Mustard Seed Faith that,
Mhm. If y'all
Straight Gate Church and Andrew Merritt for the Detroiters out there. They put that song out there years ago, but sometimes it stays in the words were like, "My faith is taking me someplace." Where you going? Nowhere, because at the time while I was thinking about it was Detroit. You know what I mean? Maybe where I was going to
planting,
school.
it was
When I tell you my faith was taking me someplace, and so once I had that faith, and then, my advisor telling me, "Well, if you come to Florida, we can make it so your tuition can be paid,"
he
right?
said,
So
"Did
after Listen, so after all of those schools I applied to, or out of all of those schools I applied to, I did get into Howard. I love that black and blue regalia you have. Are you kidding me? And so that it was hard to turn away, but
can't wait
then
to wear
once
it again next week as faculty."
Mm, hello? Nice. Listen, come on. Um, but once that was introduced to me, and then I got the Black advisor because I always knew I would do a study, something to do with Black people, and I knew wanted it to be kind of edgy. I did not know really what,
Yeah,
but once I got
and that's
a
why
kind of
Howard
win-win,
would have been perfect for you too, but you could do it
listen,
anywhere,
it
but
would
you
have.
had exactly who you needed and where.
Absolutely. And so just having that faith the size of the mustard seed, right? It put everything into place. It was kinda like, okay, so now back to the natural world. You know how when you play those games when you're young and it's like you're doing the trust fall?
Yes.
Like I was doing that to God, but then I was also doing it to the advisor because, um,
Yeah.
I call her Dr. TBJ. Our entire relationship, even still till this day, built on nothing but trust. And that made a world of difference,
Yes.
right? So I'm still having that faith the size of mustard seed, right? Because when I got here, and who doesn't go through a few financial battles with financial aid, or at least that's what we were calling it at that time, because
Mhm.
things are changing. Moving right along. So I had everything basically set up, but then there was, a fellowship that I wanted, but I was, forgotten at the time. It worked out in the end, but at the time, I was like, "How could this be? How could this happen?" I thought I'm pretty organized and proactive. I thought I had everything, you know, just like it was supposed to be. So, two of my friends, Carrie and then my brother Gary, they said, "Well, these are some of the churches I go to when I am in Tallahassee." I totally forgot Carrie was a rattler. He graduated from FAMU,
That's
you know.
right. Yeah.
Yes. And then my brother Gary, who's just strong in the faith, right? And I met him singing with Ricky and New G. So I went to the church that Gary told me about. I can't remember the name, so forgive me. But it's a nice church, and I just sit in the back, right?
Mm,
And so this was like my first couple of weeks
mhm.
of living in Tallahassee, and I want to say it was a guest preacher, right, a prophet, was, doing his thing, walking in his calling and giving a word to folks. And so he's like, "Well, come up for prayer if you need prayer." And I'm like, "Lord knows I need prayer. I done left my tribe,
Everything.
and I'm like, and I'm starting anew, but I was starting it to better myself. And I went up there and, he whispered, you know how they do in church and whisper, and have my both hands up and goes, you know, what are you in need of prayer or what are you seeking God for? And I said, I moved here to work on a PhD. And he touched both hands. It wasn't anything dramatic. It didn't fall out and all of that, but he just touched both hands. He touched my head and he said, something like, grant money will be given unto you and basically be on your way and be blessed. Yeah. And I never saw this gentleman ever again. Um, and I went on it's like, "Well, Lord, I'm gonna trust in you.
This
This
is this
mustard
the other is
faith."
this the other prophetic word?
This is the 3rd, yeah, this
Okay.
is the last one. Yeah, and as time progressed, it was it was almost like, I don't know, it was like people were placed in my life. The favor that I received, I don't know if it were just well, either if it were from my granddad who Christianed me or the prayers of the family throughout the years and friends. It was like God had positioned every someone in my life every step of the way to help me, all the way till I got to
Huh.
the final destination, if you or the ultimate goal, right? Successfully defending and becoming Dr. Edwards.
Yes.
And from this is how I knew I had favor with people, but this is how I really knew.
Okay.
Dr. J, the moment I crossed the stage,
Man.
some, not all, but some of those key people God immediately blessed them to get new jobs in other states, and the last one was my actual advisor
Okay.
after she had been for 25 years, and so but it was my friend who you met, Dr. Thomas Jocelyn said to me, one day we were celebrating her birthday,
Uh-huh.
and I was explaining that to her, I'm like, "Well, now Kima just got a job, Trent just got a job." I said, "James and Nikki, and they're gonna be in the same state," and she turned around and said, um I I don't know what kind of favor you have, but it sounds like those people were just really here until you finished. And it just hit me. I'm just, talking to my friend and it hit me. I'm like, it could it be or is it or it is so. I had three other I call them my sisters, three other black women in my program with me, but I was the only black male
Mhm.
in my, PhD program and just all that comes with that, right?
Mhm.
And I tell you I knew God existed, but after that journey, I was just like, God continues to blow my mind, right?
Yeah.
And they say, if you are sincere and you know, really um are serious about your walk with God to the best of your ability, He will,
He
open up
will.
the windows of heaven and bless you so that you have not have the room enough to receive.
Yes.
It's all of those things came to mind, and the other thing is God blessed me with those people every step of the way, but He also positioned me because there were people that I needed to help every step of their
You
way.
see why it's so important to get into alignment? But as you were talking, I was like, "What is this scripture?" I knew it was in Acts, and I had to look it up.
Okay,
Okay, so
thank
when
you.
I was looking down, I was like, we gonna find this scripture."
Thank you, okay.
Acts 18:10. For I am with thee, and no man shall set on thee to hurt thee, for I have much people in this city. God had
Yes.
people lined up waiting for you. And
Mhm.
then by you getting into alignment, that had a domino effect to bless other people. Because I know you were mentoring people. I can't remember what it was. It was something one of your mentees got on a call. We were on Zoom. Was it my birthday call? A Zoom birthday? It was something, but they were one of your mentees, and we were doing something online, and
Mhm.
you hadn't met him because the pandemic happened. Like he was, yes,
I'm about to help you. Yeah. So it was Jonathan who came to my PhD
that's what
celebration.
that was.
And
Okay.
so what it was is I met him during the pandemic and I was teaching a course,
Yes.
British graduate school course, but I also taught the course, but also served as a mentor. And so my dear friend, Dr. Brittany Brewster, was like, I need to send a student to you
Mhm.
to shift. And I said, okay. And then right quick, sis, why me? She said, because he wants to go to Michigan State. There's nobody else to talk to but you.
Mhm. Come
So
on,
I helped
Spartans.
this young man, over Zoom. And I said, some things you're gonna have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. Oh, because a lot of times that's what it is, and making those
Mhm.
short-term sacrifices for a long-term gain.
Also known as
And
faith.
hello, there we go.
Mhm.
And so I sat there and I talked to him, and he went on ahead and got in and moved to got his master's from Michigan State, moved on to DC. And so
Mhm.
I said, "Well, if you're in the area, I'm coming for my PhD celebration. You're more than welcome to join if you are, available." He goes, "Actually, I am available." And then that's when I goes, "Great. It'll be nice to meet you in person." And he goes, "You're so personal. I hadn't even realized we hadn't met in person that we haven't."
Yeah, because I was like,
You
I
know,
know I remember this person, right? Like, because I remember energy and
right.
experiences and sometimes names. Usually it is names, but that's how I know when I be in a struggle season, when I remember all those personable details.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I
Mhm.
feel like you're already getting into this, and we focus a lot on your doctoral experience, but what are some other more personal experiences that you've had where you really had to trust God despite how things look? But I'm also getting a sense that you've had a lot of favor on your life too.
Oh, yeah. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Some other times, um, you said outside of the PhD journey
Well,
though?
and I just was thinking personally, but then as I was asking the questions, I was like, my friend is blessed and anointed. Okay. But so not to say that you haven't had difficulties, but if there have been anything, any personal experiences um that were outside of that.
Um,
Because and
Jamie,
ain't and let's be
I
clear,
went to school most of my life, but I'm trying
same
to think.
right. Where even when you wasn't working at school, I mean, wasn't in school, you was working at a school. But what I will say though, that PhD though, y'all, that ain't nothing to play with. It's not like any, and I'm not minimizing anybody's educational pursuit. What
Right.
is required of you to complete this is like nothing you have ever experienced. And I'll be honest, if I knew all the stuff, I probably wouldn't have did it. But then again, I probably would have because I'm hard headed like that when I get stuff in my mind. Or I'm determined like that. We're speaking life. I'm determined like that when I make up my mind. And there could have been varying things that happened throughout that journey. So I won't even limit that, right? And say outside of it, now that I'm really like thinking about you, your life, and what I understand is your lived experiences, but I don't know everything.
So I've only been out with the PhD for 2 years, so then so then there's that,
Hmm.
but there is something else that happened, and I feel like you've experienced as well, and there is some amount of faith that comes with that, but experiencing grief, um,
Hmm.
although to be honest, I experienced grief while, working on my undergrad degree and working on my PhD, but no grief happened while working on the master's, right? So,
Hmm. You got a
it's,
break,
when you think
honey.
about my life,
Yeah.
right, exactly. But during my time in Tallahassee during the PhD, because there were a number of things. It was like the Black Lives Matter movement, George Floyd, and then instantly, all of a sudden, I have 3 loved ones in the hospital, and it really
COVID.
could have went. Yeah. And so, make a long story short, my uncle Joey went to visit my grandmother, right? He was a musician, very devoted. played the guitar, and he went to see her as he normally would
Mhm.
after church, right? But after church, people want to come shake the musician's hand. Before he leaves the house, he kisses my grandma Edwards on the forehead, and then he goes on about his business. Next thing I know, next couple of days, my grandma is calling me. Your uncle's in the hospital. I said, in the hospital. Why? What for? And he's usually pretty healthy. Like, just talk to him. And she was like, well, that thing that's going around. And she started to explain
Yeah,
COVID.
because this was early.
I said, "Goodness, okay." Well, she said, "The family knows. I'm letting you know. You know what we do. We pray
Come
and ask
on.
God for better days, right? Because our faith." Going
Mhm.
back.
Mhm.
Then I get a call from my dear cousin, Chanzel. We call her Muffet, and she goes, "Grandma's in the hospital," and this was not an easy task to get her to go there. My grandmothers are loving, giving, and kind, but Jeannie, they are strong. You talking about look up in the dictionary, strong black women. It have my grandma's
And
picture.
my aunties would be
Yeah.
next to
And
it. They
listen,
be calling each other,
yes,
"You a tough old bird." I'm like, "What?
listen,
Where does that even come
listen.
from?" But yeah.
And so, but I'm proud to come from that,
Mhm.
because it helps make me who they're my experience in learning and growing from them
Mhm.
helps to make me who I am today. And so grandma's in the hospital. So now we have my Uncle Joey and my grandma Edwards, right, in the hospital. I think that UFM hospital battling COVID, right? And he's 59. She was, I want to say like 86 at the time, right? So then that's my dad's side. And then all of a sudden, I get a call. My mom's side, my favorite aunt, my auntie mama, Stephanie, my mom, the one she came from my mom's birthday celebration. I wanted her to be just for you all to feel her presence, right?
Yes, I'm glad
And
she
so,
came. Good energy.
listen, and that night, she said to me at my dining room table, "You and Jeannie really love each other. Y'all are real friends." She said that, and my aunt was clergy, so that meant the world to me that she picked up on that so quickly in the birthday setting.
Absolutely.
But my mom calls and she goes, "Your aunt has stage 4 cancer." This is someone who never got sick,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
And then my grandmother, my mom's mom, so my grandma Craig is also a realist. And she says, grandson, a lot of times when people like that never get sick, usually they get sick unto death because she was in her late 80s. She has seen a lot,
She's
Jeannie,
no. One. So
Yeah.
that means when I met her, because that was 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Or
What are you
wait,
talking about?
who was
When you met who?
you're not talking about your auntie. Okay, this is your
No.
grandma. I was
No,
like,
no, 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 no,
"Ain't
I'm
no
talking about my girl.
way." Okay,
You never
sorry.
met her mother, but you met
Got it.
her oldest daughter.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Yes, and so, we started to pray, but we about went crazy because although I have a grandmother, my mom's mother is like queen mother.
Mhm.
She was the matriarch.
Mm.
So, just like when I came back to do my PhD celebration, and that's when I really realized I was a glue, my auntie was a glue for our entire family,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And so, when you have such a thing, right? And then, I have to share this. So, my brother, my oldest brother, Neek, called because he was very concerned about Grandma Edwards, and he's like, he called emotional and
Mhm.
just like, "Man, I don't think she gonna make it." I don't know what came over me in that moment, Dr. J. I was as calm. I was not crying. I
Mm.
said, "But I need you to calm yourself, big bro, because mama just prayed heaven down and grandma is still here. You can't put her in the grave. She's still here
Oh,
fighting."
that's good.
And one thing we do know is grandmother is very strong, and she is strong in the faith. We gotta get it from somewhere, right? And so that that calmed him a little, like, "Hold on. Yes, I'm up in arms and I'm sitting here trying to figure out I'm gonna pass all these classes." And in
Right.
the back of my mind, ain't nothing worse than being on Zoom answering a question while fighting back tears at the same time. It was so all the things so what ended up happening is my Uncle Joey did pass away at 59, right? Although a lot of people passed away, unfortunately, from COVID, in my mind, I'm like, "That Trump administration has a lot of blood on their hands." I'm just gonna say that because
Mm,
I gotta move, because 'cause I'll go down a hole and
yeah.
then just bring me back for another episode.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
but that's how I felt. That's how I felt. They murdered my uncle. Now
Mm,
that's my take on it, right? But I've been thinking about my uncle Joey, I love so much. He would have told me, nephew, or he would call me, "Hey, Slim, this how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. You keep moving forward." You
yeah.
know, he would have. And the thing about Uncle Joey and Auntie Stephanie, those are that auntie and that uncle that would come visit me frequently in DC. So they got to see me in the element, and they both said, "Oh my God, this is really where you were meant to be."
Yep.
You know, like who would have
Your
thought?
soil.
And then he passes away, and then I have my aunt my aunt, cancer had even at that point spread it to her brain. I don't know what kind of favor she had,
Mhm.
Lord. She was still able to text me from her hospital bed. You know what she texted
What'd
me?
she say?
"How is Uncle Joey?"
Yeah.
What do I say to that? I can't even remember what I said. I know I didn't say, I definitely don't wanna say he's no longer here, you know what I mean, or he's dead, you know what I mean? That was, I'm like, I had to say it, because I told her the truth, but the fact that she's on her stage 4 cancer and she's asking, "How is he?"
She's still
That
here. The
just,
same thing you told your brother.
yeah,
She's still here. Don't be putting her in the
listen,
grave. So she said, if
no,
I
no, 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 she asked, "How is Uncle Joey?" He had, no, he had already
right. No,
passed,
I'm
he had
saying,
already
but
passed.
her though. Yes, she has
Yeah,
stage
yeah, 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 yeah,
4, but
absolutely.
she was still here.
Yes, I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
absolutely. But for her to be at stage 4 and still thinking of somebody other than herself, that's the kind of person she was. And so, I remember the last time talking to her on the phone, um, I remember I said, "You need to call her and tell her you love her now,"
Mm,
because sometimes I told you,
you
sometimes
can
I'm
feel it.
prophetic, and
Yep.
the thing with, my aunt, we're very close, she was like my auntie mama. My mom,
Mhm.
well, she was my auntie mama. My mama said, "Growing up, I thought you were confused. I thought you thought she might have been your mom." I was like, "Mom, that's so ridiculous," but I get it, you know? My aunt was extremely, when someone that's influential and powerful is in your life, right? You can't help but to be influenced and thankful. Thank you God you chose her to be my aunt. Um, but I was thinking about her when I lived in Maryland.
Yeah.
This would be years before um I ever knew I moved to Florida. And I remember pulling out a picture of her. Just sometimes, at night you're going through pictures or just doing, I was looking at a picture of her, and I said inside, "God, please don't let this be the aunt that you take away of breast cancer." And I don't know
What
why,
made
and
you
I just
say
kept it to
that?
myself. Well, I had other family members have
The
been
family
affected by breast
history.
cancer.
Yeah.
My stepmother is a cancer survivor. Her mother passed away of breast cancer. So it was, and I was looking at photos of my brother's wedding. So I was already looking at
Mm.
thinking about family. It wasn't
All
just out of the
types
blue.
of feelings and stuff coming
Is
up.
that,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
And because, again, I'm like, Lord, she's always been fine and healthy and well. I don't know why that came over me, and I put it up and thought nothing of it. So when my mother said it's breast cancer, you can imagine how crazy it's amazing. I Half of us in the family. Listen, let's be honest. She was the favorite, okay? So it's amazing that we didn't go insane.
Yeah.
Meaning with those different obstacles or people with those stronger personalities, they're blessed that they got handled the way that they did on certain days, Jeannie. That's the truth. Honest to God truth,
Mhm.
okay? Listen. And so with all of that being, because a hustle and bustle to come with, lost my most, and when she died, when
Yeah.
my favorite auntie mama died, it was like, that is when I felt the void. A piece of me left. I'm still here. I'm still your down to earth, vibrant, everything you all call me, those loving names. But a piece of me,
Yeah.
that's the best way I know how to explain it. I don't have a word for this, but
Mhm.
catch the hands
I
gestures.
see it.
Listen.
It's in the
And I
frame.
know you can relate.
Listen.
And so, but my faith being activated, because even my favorite aunt would have said, my part in the story, nephew, son, it comes to an end here. You have been given the tools. There's so many life lessons that I got from both of them, but now I'm on
And
auntie
you're not done.
that will carry me. Right, exactly.
Yeah,
And then the other thing is, I don't know what prayers my auntie might have prayed on her deathbed, but I'm still seeing the blessings of the Lord in my life, and I'm just thankful for that. But if since you say something else, yes, it was still within the moment of me getting my
but it happened
PhD,
during
but
that
it
time,
happened.
but it wasn't about the PhD.
Yes, but
Yeah.
there's another thing though.
Mhm.
Grandma Edwards is now 90 years old and at home making pound cake.
Right now,
Pull oh, yeah, yeah,
I need
oh,
to
yeah,
pull
you
up
have
on
no
her. She in
yeah,
she in Michigan or
lemon
she in Georgia?
trees in Michigan.
Okay.
And, yeah, we're kinda spoiled, so she has sent cake to Georgia for you know,
If she
hey, it's
really end up no, no, never mind. I don't need
listen,
that. I don't need it. I want it,
listen,
but I don't need it. I was gonna say,
it's
if you wanna put in some good words for me, use some of that favor to get a pound cake to show up in the mail for me. But no, I don't need that. That's sabotage to me right now.
it's so
Um,
you can have a cheat day or something, but,
listen, I've been
and maybe not have
cheating.
the whole cake, we'll share it,
I've been
but,
cheating all last week, since Easter. I
okay.
just got myself back right, maybe Friday. Look,
Alright.
mm,
We're human. Listen,
uh-huh.
and listen, and listen, I cheated too because I was in Colorado the entire last week
Oh,
for a conference.
oh,
Oh, and there's a reason I said Colorado.
okay.
I had never seen mountains of that magnitude,
Uh-huh.
and as my Uber driver were driving me to the airport, I did that faith the size of a mustard seed move mountains. I'm like, "Lord, why am I looking at this before I go?" I had never had a reason to go to
And you know
college.
I was born in Colorado, right?
Oh, good God almighty, get out of here.
I'm not kidding. I was born in Colorado Springs.
Ladies and gentlemen in podcast land, just when you think you know a person, I thought you said Racine.
I'm from Racine, so I was conceived in Racine. My mama just had us dying on text talking about how my daddy pulled a fast one on her. But like literally right before we started. So I was conceived in Racine, born in Colorado, and then came back to Racine.
Oh,
Yes. So basically
okay,
all my life that I can remember, right? Like I was essentially in Racine with the exception of like going down to Mississippi like once for like a summer or something when I was like 3, 4. And then we lived in Chicago briefly that I can remember, but Racine always ended up being the home base.
home
Yeah.
base.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said
Okay,
Colorado.
okay, pause, because
Okay.
I gotta
Okay.
and Dr. J, I just wanted to add one more thing too about, death and grief. One thing my
Mm,
grandmother said to me, my grandma Craig, and my mommy's mommy, I wanted to leave this too with the listeners and for anybody else who might be going through grief.
yeah.
My grandmother said this to me, and it always stays. She said, "Listen, um, although you have loved ones who have passed away or who have gone on, none of us can escape death." She said, "Just always remember, God always leaves more than what he takes away." It's just, look around you. You still have this relative, you still have close friends who are like family. And when she put it in perspective, that really made a world of difference. And,
Mhm.
some folks do go to therapy. I had family to talk to, but I also had some of my friends' mothers. And I have to
Yeah.
say, my mama Cheryl, so that's Byron's mom in North Carolina. When
Mhm.
my aunt passed, she talking about a prayer warrior. She
Yeah.
talked me through that thing. She prayed me through, and then she said, "Let me remind you something about that uncle. You told me how devoted he was to God and his instrument, and your aunt being clergy." She said, "You got to remember, God is coming back for an army, and it's not an army that just consists of 90-year-olds and up." He said she was explaining how they were like good candidates,
Love
perfect
that.
candidates for heaven.
Yeah.
And when she put it like that, I said, in my mind, I went, right on. I mean, what else can you say to that? But those are some things I really needed to hear
Yeah.
in that moment.
Yeah.
When I tell you I was down, you're talking about down
Listen,
and out, like, how I'm supposed to pass statistics and my auntie and uncle not here. That was a true story.
statistics will take you out all on its own.
Oh,
Let's be clear,
hello.
because it almost took me out, okay?
Listen, so I just wanted to I had to say
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
absolutely. And that grief thing is so tricky. And like you said, I know because I was in the season of grief from 2014 and didn't really come out of it until the beginning of 2020. because every year, some and multiple, right? And so this whole time, phew, this look, I decided to go back to school, and Satan said, "Sis, let's see what you do with all these challenges. How you gonna deal with this? You gonna turn the guy? Let me have it for a little bit." And he had me for a little bit. He did. But what I have come to learn about grief, right? Like, and just like death, right? Like, I've always known it comes because I was exposed to death like early, like through like my grandmother passed away before I was even born, which had a lot to do with like the circumstances of my own life, right?
Mhm.
And my arrival, and actually my name Jeannie, I'm named after her. Her name was Gloria Jean. So I was named Jeannie after her. But that had a lot to do with, like, points in my life, and then even, in 5th grade when my cousin was murdered, my cousin brother, 'cause where I was, raised by my great aunt. So, like, I remember my first funeral I ever went to, I was, like, maybe, like, 6 or 7 years old. I remember going to a funeral, right? So, like, and then growing up in the '90s in the Midwest, people was getting killed all the time, right? Like, and shot all the time. So, like, that's trauma all in itself, right? But it was like normalized. But then in this particular season, like, God moved me out of that. So um it was just happening as a part of life. But the way that I've come to understand life, right? Sometimes things are consequences, right? Like, because God is not just taking people from us to be cruel, but also we do have free will, and sometimes there are consequences. But then on the other side of that, they've poured out everything they had to pour. And
Oh,
what I've heard from what you said about your Uncle Joey and your aunt, like, these are people that poured out. So that meant their assignment was done, mission complete. And I forget what scripture that is, right? But like that I've done all that I have, set out to do.
right.
Dang, it's in there in my room. But you know the one I'm talking
Yeah,
about, right?
they
Like
did
if
all
you've
they
done
could
it.
with the time they had. He lived to be 59. My auntie Stephanie lived to be, 67. They did all they could with the time, and
Mhm.
a lot with the time that they had, yeah.
And what I'll say is they going back to what Byron's mom said, if you think about it, they kinda like, advanced, that they got it done in such a little bit of
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a word.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Alright. But yeah, man, and we can be thankful for the time that we had with them, and
Absolutely.
the Bible even tells us that only two things are guaranteed, that's life and death, right? But everybody skips over that death part. They want to avoid that part.
Mhm.
And even when you welcome it, sadness is normal. That comes with it. It's the loss of a significant relationship, a significant connection. Like, it was hard to go to Florida. So imagine what that's like for listeners who've not experienced grief yet in
Mhm.
their life, right?
Mhm.
Like, there are some people who get far into their adult life before they ever even experience loss and grief. So, like, it's magnified in a way, so you're supposed to feel that, right? And trust, like God got you, and there's all sorts of scripture that leads to how God comforts the brokenhearted and how he has us in the palm of his hand and all these different things. But we really got to get in that book and know and understand. And I love that you have had people all around you
Yeah, God has been good. And then also we have to remind ourselves that Jesus died too for our sins. He
hello.
had to die. And thankfully, he rose again, and so that gives us hope that we will see our loved ones again, but
Well, we gonna
just
rise
a
again too
reminder. Yes, absolutely.
after.
Well,
Yep.
we'll rise again or either we'll be instantly caught up because we could be, you know what I mean, still around, but
Yep, you're right.
absolutely, absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Mhm. Okay, okay, so again, king and queen of talk going over
Right.
here. Let's move it right along. So how do you know if you're making a decision out of faith or fear, whether it's faith-led or fear-led?
I feel like you know if it's fear-led, if you just and for me, if you just jump and do it without any consideration, you ain't listen to the gut, you just gon' the decision is because sometimes, um, we make decisions without talking to God first or even saying a quick
Mhm.
prayer. Okay,
Mhm.
and so then when I do talk to God about it or say that quick prayer or take time to, let's think, let that thing marinate or reflect before you just up and do. Ain't that what they say? Just
Yep,
up and do.
up and
Don't be
do.
so fly by night.
You just up and doing something.
Exactly, and
Like,
so
what's the rush?
exactly. What is the rush? Yeah, and
But
that's how
also,
I
I think
feel. Go ahead.
I think that's how the enemy gets us
Yep.
too, right? Like that's how Satan will get us. He will present this thing, and I think that's another way to differentiate. If it, like you know how they always be like, if it's too good to be true, it usually is, right? Like,
Everything that
and
look good ain't good. Mhm.
right, everything that glitters is
There
not
you go.
gold. Not
Yep.
to say that God, because God, our God is a God of miracles, and He will pop some stuff up on you quick. But you'll also know that's where discernment comes in, right? Like you know it in your spirit, but like if you feel anxious, if there's this haste, if there's all this pressure, like if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel good. There's a wrestling that's happening, and are you going to pay attention to what's happening between the mind, body, and the spirit?
Wow, and can I add to that? That's 'cause you just touched on
Absolutely.
something. Um, I might need help with the exact verse, Dr. J, but there was, um, when you have those situations and you feel, if you're gonna just rush and make a decision or if you're gonna take
Mm-hmm.
time, there's a scripture that says, "My sheep know my voice and a stranger
Oh,
follow."
that's so good.
Um, yeah, I still have a lot more life to live, hopefully, Lord, from my mouth to your
Mhm,
ears, but I feel like because we know a lot about each other, we're dynamic
mhm,
family, we've had those situations, you know what I mean? And when I should have listened to God
mhm,
before just jumping right in and doing my own thing. So I
mhm,
definitely, um, try my best to keep that in mind, especially as I, get older and my walk becomes, better and closer to God and just being
mhm.
more intentional. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yep,
Listen, and it does start in the morning for me. When I hit that
same.
floor, I'm thanking God, I'm saying my prayer, reading my Bible, and doing my affirmation, okay? And
Come on, you better
listen,
speak life,
and
reprogram your mind.
also, listen, I was doing the vision boards before they became really popular. I still have mine over my bed in a frame from Michael's. And at part of the journeys, I didn't talk about that, but a part of the
Yeah,
journey, as I would go to the vision board, I would move things around or replace them with something else. I did not realize my vision board would talk back to me though. Thing, yeah, and this is the way. A simple example. It's not simple, it's a wonderful example, but
come
I
on.
mentioned my cousin Zale earlier. The
Yeah,
moment I crossed the stage, she calls, "Hey, I'm on this grant with your high school principal." My high school principal was Dr. Denise Darcell Davis Cotton. I love saying her full name. But she
I
founded
see.
Detroit School of the Arts, where the singer
All
Aaliyah,
right.
that was our most famous alumni. I hadn't seen her in
Mhm.
20 years. Come to find out, the woman's in Florida at University of South Florida, Sarasota, and wants to invite me to these think tanks. I'm like, "What?"
Love this.
But Dr. Cotton's picture is on my vision board to represent my high school. That's where I come from. That's what I'm proud of. I never expected her to circle back. I had to get the degree first, obviously, because there were other things. Now I'm on her level. She said, "Oh, now you're really my colleague." That type of thing. And
Mhm.
extreme auntie vibes. I mean, the
Yes,
dramatic
yes.
be all. She the founder of the School of the Arts, y'all. So you're getting all the things. But
All of it.
who would have thought, Jeannie?
Mm. Mm-mm.
What? We're in the same state, a little over 4 hours away from each other. And again, I thought I just moved here to, get my little degree and
And come on back to us in the DMV.
yeah, and then somebody, your principal wants to see you. What? So, I mean, could you imagine? My
It's
cousin
a
is
knock.
so talk about a full circle moment.
Yeah.
I just had to get that out there because
That's good. But speaking of grants and closing circles, you said in church that the prophet said the grant money will come. Go on, talk about it.
and so, okay, so the Florida Education Fund, McKnight Dissertation Fellowship. So you can either be fully funded through this organization or an affiliate, but then once you get to the point of being a PhD candidate, if you will, then you can apply for the dissertation
Uh-huh.
fellowship. So I thought in the beginning I was forgotten. I said this to you over the phone, but you might not remember because it was earlier on during my journey. And I said, dang, Jeannie, they forgot to include me. So me, that faith that can move mountains, this was a hurdle because I needed access to that money. But I'm also a firm believer in ask and you shall receive. I said,
Come
God, you
on.
told me you would not send me all the way out here to Florida in Tallahassee in the middle of nowhere to not finish this degree and to finish it
Boy.
with what Sabia said first, or you gave her the words to say, Lord, you'll be able to finish this. I'm going to finish it in these 4 years. I'm going to activate my faith. What did grandma say? Oh, when you take the first step, God will do the rest. I was
Mm.
sweating profusely. It was the hottest day in Tallahassee, Florida, and I went to find a sweet little lady. She's brilliant, Dr. Adrienne Stevenson, and I said,
Mm.
I first of all the lights in the front office were off.
Oh,
Said, "Dang." First of all, I didn't know she was a she. I thought it was he because Dr. Steven. I didn't bother to ask anybody. Dr. Steve.
yeah,
Oh my.
'cause that name could go in
Right.
any way.
I just needed to find this
Mhm.
Dr. Stevenson. I coulda asked my advisor. I just said, and I mean, the authority in my first year, told my advisor, "I'm leaving. I'll be back. I gotta go find this Dr. Stevenson." She's,
That's a O1 thing.
"Oh,
That is
what?"
very much a you thing. Let's be honest, friend.
Listen, and I went and found, and I went to the wrong place first, and they said, "Oh, she's in the Chick-fil-A building." I said, "She?"
You went in there loud and
No,
wrong?
I went in there
Okay.
polite because I was on a journey. I went there polite and
Okay.
kind. "Hi.
Yeah.
Can you tell me where Dr. Stevenson is?" And then the gentleman
Yeah.
said, "She is in the Chick-fil-A building." She. So now I had, Clue. Y'all was playing Clue. You hear me? I was playing Clue. So I found, and something said, "Open the door." The lights are off. I tried the door and it opened, and I said, "Anybody here?" And I heard a voice in the back, "Hello? Hello?" I said, "Oh my God, I think it's her." So I walked in, introduced myself, told her I think I was forgotten about. She did a call. "Anybody ever heard of this Owan Edwards? He's here. We're trying to figure out what's going on." Found out I got overlooked. "We're gonna make you an affiliate, right?" So I'm still
Mm,
court because then I came across a situation where my money was being held up by financial aid, all that decade in
mhm.
DC, I wasn't making all the payments like I should, okay? Just being honest. Okay, but now I wanna go back and really do something.
He said, "I still got you, though."
Listen, and trust the CEO of the Florida Education Fund, okay, Dr. Morehouse said, "Listen, I'm going to give you explained your case, you done sent more than enough paperwork, we believe you, because
Yes.
I'm gonna do that. We're gonna write you just check in good faith that you're gonna finish." By the time I had proved myself, I still had to apply for the dissertation fellowship like everybody else. But the only thing about me is when I applied, they already knew me. You follow? And they already knew the work ethic and I was gonna finish for real. And so I did get it was $20,000. So that would be the first, I got other grants to like travel and go to conferences, but that would be the first big one that I wrote, given my dissertation study, and yeah,
Keyword, first.
yeah,
Y'all,
I mean,
listen,
yeah.
'cause the blessings
Oh, yes,
kept
praise the
flowing. The
Lord.
fountain
Yeah,
the
yes,
fountain was
and
flowing.
that foundation also gave me the confidence, so when the time came to, be back with Dr. Cotton and work on some of the projects that we have worked on, and we're gonna see what happens, or projects that may to come up because I was well trained, activated my faith. I am now
Mm,
can walk in this season with confidence,
mhm,
and knowing that if God saw me all the way
mm.
through that whole decade in Maryland and all the people I met then brought me to I had nerve enough to trust in him, that trust fall, and he brought me to Tallahassee and just I
Tallahassee.
mean, the
And
the
you're down there with your skin glowing. Tallahassee
yes.
look good on you, friend.
Listen, I appreciate that. I
I
do.
still need to get down there. I'm playing games.
Listen, I'm still
But
you just let
life
me
was
know.
lifing.
That's alright.
Right.
That's alright.
And I love how it's just coming up organically, how everything that you're talking about really and truly is giving God like the honor and the praise and like just the victories and the proof, right? The
Yes.
victories and the proof.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
people can overlook that. And the way that we confuse the enemy is that we are praising him the whole time
Oh,
because he can only understand what's like said, what's outwardly expressed. And that's why sometimes we gotta be
what do
quiet.
they say? Be still and know that I am God. And
And
that's
then
not
there's
always
that.
easy, but and with that comes of a sense of discipline. So on
Mm,
the talk, we always want to talk,
this
talk,
is a
talk.
great segue.
We like to listen. We do like to take control of things, and I have a way. Let me put it into action. And also, part of that is that journey to the PhD will humble you along the way. And I did not come in here with the big head either, but it
Mm-mm.
will still humble you in such a way. And I think all of that was a part of it. And I was also, and I still am just thankful that I had an advisor I could talk to about God and have prayer with.
Listen, I feel like I know her.
She saw, listen, I, I feel like sometimes you don't know when you're entertaining angels. That's the best way to describe it.
Oh, say
Yeah.
that.
And,
Come
and, and
on.
then I saw God enlarged her territory. Good God Almighty.
Come on, expansion.
And I'm not the only one she helped. There's
Of
several,
course
but
not.
they
Not if
are,
if she, like you said, if you entertaining angels
yeah,
and God is expanding her, that means that she been pouring and pouring and pouring.
absolutely, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm just thankful. Oh, and also too, how we are that light. And I have to say this, God allowed me to help other believers. He also allowed me to be blessed by folks who might not have been as strong in the faith as I am, and still allowed me to bless people who were not believers. Because
Uh-huh.
still being, the light, the whole pulling as you climb, and I don't think, at least I don't operate that way. I don't think you should just looking at the folks who are believers to help because
Yeah.
that's still how you are going about, a part of my calling or part of how I'm able to be a blessing or and walk into um, the path that God has for me, and some of that I'm still learning and figuring that out. But you got to help people along the way, and that's biblical. That's also from my mom and grandma. I don't come. I am blessed. Now I don't come from an affluent background. Hold on, but I do come from a background that I've never gone without. But you
You
better
do. You
believe
you come from spiritual affluence,
spiritual
friend.
of hello, but you better believe every step of the way. My mom and them,
Mhm.
you see how blessed you are. All of these.
Yes.
Now it's time to take and give it to Goodwill. You see how blessed you are, and that never left me. That
Yeah.
never left me because I don't know. Maybe God pierced my heart at an early age to know you see other people who might be going without or might not be as spiritually fed or just the love that I,
Mhm.
have been able to receive. Um, you know, my foundation is does start with family. And
Mhm.
it has definitely helped me with like, moving forward.
Yeah.
And just being
That
that light and walking in the faith, because without the faith, out of all the love that I did receive, because they knew
Mhm.
at one point, oh, one is gonna be nobody but you and Jesus. Even when I
Yep.
was just having the private conversations with God in the DMV, and y'all didn't know what I was, you know,
Mm-mm.
talking about with God, or even while being I mentioned Calvary earlier, even while being at
Mhm.
Calvary and all those prayers and, some of the shut-ins we used to do, we'd be praying next to each other, but you don't really know what's going on. Because that's your
Mhm.
time for your immediate connection. God, I need you to work this out or fix this or just give me more clarity. What am I doing? Am I losing my all
Wisdom.
the things,
Yes. Yep.
all the things.
Yep. But that makes so much sense, friend, right? Because if you are not sharing and shedding your light with non-believers, then there would be no reason for you to be here, right? The Great Commission. That's Matthew,
Hello,
right?
come
From the
on.
book of Matthew,
Hello.
right? Like that's the whole point. And for people to get that overflow, to see what happens when you are in alignment with God. And if you smart and you see people who are in alignment with God and you see that favor on their life, baby, you better get in position. You better hover. Get close, even if you just get a little trickle, a little sprinkle, right? Like, and I'm not saying that in a way where it's just like using people and manipulative, right? As much as like those are the people you need to go towards. You
Absolutely.
see the favor on the people, right? Like, and it looks different for everybody. And sometimes, but people get talked out of it. Like you right there, but they no, I need this specific thing. I need it to look this way and they be missing it. And it's like you got, like your grandma said, you gotta move first. And to me, I hear you gotta let go of the how. Just go.
Yes.
Right? Like, and a lot of the material that I've been putting out on social media is just go, move. God is waiting on you. You waiting on him, he's waiting on you. Like, go, do.
Yeah.
He's got you. Failure is not an option when you are operating in alignment with God. He's gonna bless anything you ask him for. And if it aligns with his will, baby, he gonna do it and he gonna amplify it.
Amen. That's all I can say to that. Listen.
Sorry, I got a little hype.
No, you're right. Ask and it shall be given unto you. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All you gotta do is ask for it. But like, but we know when we in alignment and when we're not, but then sometimes we're afraid.
Um,
We're afraid, or sometimes we don't like what he be asking us to do. Cause sometimes he be asking us to do stuff and it feel weird, or you be like, you trusting me with this?
absolutely.
You want me to do this?
Right.
I don't know if I got that. But if there's not if I've not learned anything, and I've learned many things, all these darn degrees,
Right.
when he choose you, it don't matter.
No.
Doesn't matter where you from, what you have, what you do, what you don't. Like he's going to give you everyone, everything. He's gonna clear the path. He's gonna
Uh,
do all of it, and we have to let go of the how. And I love that you've been able to let go of the how and he was able to bless you, put people in position, put you in position so that his will, his reach, it continues.
oh, yes. Yes.
Mm,
Amen to that. And I'm
mm,
like I said, I'm just um God blew my mind, you know,
man.
and I and a part of too of the when I mentioned earlier, like the being humble,
Mm-mm.
and people will speak well of me and highly of me. I was just at a conference presenting and doing all these wonderful things. And this is not a guilt, but still just reminding myself, wow, God, you still love me. And I am just a sinner saved by grace, And you still, I mean,
Always.
even just in a simple conversation, we call that social capital. Somebody can say something and just, yeah. So when I get back home, I'm going to change a few things because what? You know what I mean? A part of that, some people say being at the right place at the right time, but I also call that God setting you up because
Yep. I was like, God plays God time.
listen. And so
Mm-hmm.
God's unconditional love, I
Beautiful
listen.
thing.
I tell you, it was definitely increased during my journey. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just happy to be at the place that I'm in, and I'm ready for, "All right, Lord, so
On the other side.
listen, if you can get me through
Mm-hmm.
that,
Hey, hey, let's go. What's next?
listen," and
Right.
yeah, yeah. So that's
And I want to highlight so that it's not missing here that I hear that you have routines that reinforce your faith and your intimate relationship with God.
yes, I do.
So run that back just in case they didn't miss it if they wasn't listening because
Yep,
it wasn't the main point of what you were saying.
okay. Yep. So my routine for, just staying connected and my faith in God is when I hit the floor in the morning, I'm thanking God. That depending on what the day is like, I might play a little, whoever's on the mind that I'm like, who is going to bless me this morning? And that can be from
Mhm.
uh, Gene Moore. He's an incredible gospel artist out of Houston, Texas. Sometimes I want to hear Judith McAllister because I'm trying to get to that upper room. And there's one CD of hers that she's made a ton of music, but sometimes somebody can just make that one CD and that is the one, like, you bless my
Mhm.
soul. I don't care if you never make another CD. Lord rest her soul, Lucretia Campbell. Talk about the voice of an angel because I want
Mhm.
to, you know, humble myself, but and I do listen and like a lot of music, but when I'm trying to talk to God, I
Gotta get your
mean,
mind right.
there you go. And, so praying first, reading my Bible,
Giving thanks. I heard
giving
gratitude.
thanks,
Mhm.
gratitude, and then after that part, before I do the affirmation, I
Mm.
look in that mirror and I remind I do. Listen, I know, right? And I remind myself, remember, you are beautifully and wonderfully made. You know, especially in
Yes.
this day and age, there's a lot of things out here, and social media is can be so
Mm.
overtaking. I even have to guard my gate. Some of the stuff that's going. Some things
Yes,
I
you
won't
do.
look at it. But I tell people,
No.
listen, I will post, but then you won't hear from me 5 days at a time. I cannot no, it will overtake me, and so being mindful of that. But reminding
Mhm.
myself, looking in that mirror, hit those affirmations, and then I'm ready to go.
Ready to go.
I'm ready to
Yes.
go. Lord, whatever the task is, now I am complete. And
Yes.
because some of my days, they look very different. Some are extremely busy.
Absolutely.
Some I have the autonomy, um, to do, okay, I can do this and we can put that for another day or something like that. If I happen to go through a day and I say, oh, I didn't pray today, or I didn't say my full prayer. Because my full prayer, I'm calling your name out. I'm calling, listen, you
Oh, my name.
Dr. Mika on your show not too long ago. I call her, I call out my family and
Mhm.
close friends and friends who are like family. But the other thing is, so if I'm in a rush, I do, my quick prayer, which is the um the prayer, the Our Father who art in heaven. I do that because I still got to get something out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like to really be able to talk to God and say specific thing.
Yes.
I have friends who, you know, might be going through things, or those who might have very recently a friend going through grief. I have friends who work for the federal government in DC. Lord, when you see the blood, please pass over. And you know what I'm getting at when I say
Mm,
that.
come
So
on.
that's why I
Yes.
like to call out things when I pray, so most of the time. And then also, after I go through the day, what am I doing at night before I lay my head down? Praying again. I need
Okay.
covering while I'm laying my head down to sleep
Let's
and
go.
then praying for, those that, I love, even my enemies. I have to say that, Lord, even people I don't talk to no more, bless them too. That is a part of my prayer.
Bless
That,
him and let him.
listen,
Okay.
absolutely.
He gonna deal with all of that.
Absolutely, because through the years, we talked about the teachable 20s. I don't know, what do you call the 30s? Thriving 30? I don't know. Anyway, all of those things.
We gonna work that out. I like this.
Okay, yeah. The teachable 20s part, I stole that from Bishop Alfred Owens. Okay. Listen, I was
Okay.
there a lot. Okay. But I'm happy. I'm proud to be a son of that church. That put a lot of good in me. And I never would have
Yeah.
met people like Sabria and the Byrons. And I have a nice, strong foundation support system because people like you who I met right through
Yeah.
with a lot of my friends we did meet worshiping. I'm
Mhm.
like, I
Yep.
know that you're a real one and you're down to earth, but I also know you can get a prayer through.
Yes.
Hey,
We
so
need those.
listen. So with all of those growing pains in the DMV, I also had to learn too at some point in my life, everybody's, not your assignment because I have such a high value.
Woo! Or assignment is complete.
Yes, or
We be mistaking assignments for, like, lifelong friendships.
exactly. And sometimes
Mhm.
it can be challenging to see, right? Especially
Yes.
when you like yourself, you are kind, you're giving, very open. I can honestly say this. And for this sentence, I am speaking for you as well, Dr. J. We will give people the benefit of the doubt until we have a reason not to do it anymore. That's just how we're built. Do you agree?
That's why we need boundaries. That's why we
Exactly.
need discernment. That's why we need wisdom, and that's
Exactly.
why you saying teachable 20s, baby. Them 30s was still very teachable too.
Absolutely, and that's why also too with the faith,
Yeah.
praying and asking God for that discernment. I did have
Mhm.
to pray for discernment when I first got out here. My advisor, major professor brought me out here like a month before everybody else because I had been out of
Yeah.
school a decade. So once to, get
I was
that
like, "Not them taking you away from us a month early."
getting that writing done. And then I also had to learn a few things about how to do my job. But just
Mhm.
I did because before everybody else in my cohort who I really wanted to be friends with, or, some of the other folks I met who are part of my circle, I was
Yeah.
kinda like just out here, I don't wanna say alone, 'cause I did start within, at least have my
Mhm.
advisor and few friends I was, becoming close to on the research team. But one of them, for those first couple of weeks, I went to, like, a game night, and I came home and
Mhm.
I did say to myself, "What on earth have I done to myself?" You know what I mean? Because you're going through it. It's that fear, that being uncomfortable, that I done got out here. I want to better myself, but there's a sense of,
Mm.
insecurity. I felt a bit naked, if you will, because
Mhm.
everything I had stripped. I mean, I had nerve enough to get in the
But also
U-Haul, right? But I'm just saying that to say the
mhm.
grand scheme of things. I know I've touched on a lot of things just
This is good.
there,
Come on, king.
but those are just some things that have come to mind within
Yeah.
my journey to now, and just thinking about life in general. You did mention earlier some of those obstacles that too many to name. Okay, but um, yes, I'll just say that
It's
answer.
all spiritual
It's
compost,
spiritual.
right? It's
Yes,
all
yes,
spiritual compost.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
absolutely. And we gonna keep rolling that and running that. She didn't put me on to it.
Listen,
Imma keep on saying it, right? Turn that dirt into soil,
mm,
okay? Let's do it.
mercy. I love
Yes.
I love that.
So good.
You are the potter,
So
I am the
good.
clay. Oh my God, make me and mold me in your way. Wow. Listen, come on, hands. Yes. Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
good.
Mhm.
Now, I know you said a whole bunch of stuff in there, but friend, I said my friend's so fine, and he get up in the mirror every morning and be like, "You are." And what y'all don't know about my friend is he get his hair cut every week. I think I can only think of maybe like one time that I know that I can remember where you were like, don't even look at me. I ain't get my hair cut this
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
But Fred do not be playing about loving on himself and maintaining self. And that is not vain and vanity at all because our bodies, this is also a living sacrifice, honey. So we ain't supposed to be out here looking ripped and ragged, okay?
It's the temple, and let me just say
Come
this too,
on.
that was instilled. Now, my maternal father was a barber.
Well, and you also from Detroit. Y'all don't play no
Oh,
games
yeah.
up in Detroit, baby.
They listen, Detroit and then being in the DMV, that didn't make it any better. Come on, we were
Yeah.
always out and about. No matter where I'm going to church,
Yeah.
listen, where I'm going to dinner, Lord knows we always had a birthday dinner every weekend. I mean,
Every weekend.
so
Listen, I can have 3 just in my week, cause I used to celebrate my birthday, like, Wednesday, Thursday to Sunday.
same. I learned that from you, Yeah. I said, "She's got the
Listen,
right
love yourself.
idea."
I'm telling you. Now this
Listen.
year, it was well, I guess I kinda did celebrate. I was in Chicago, but
Yeah,
I was at a ladies lectureship with my church. So I really only did, like, one for real thing for me,
okay.
and I did nothing in the DMV because I got back, I was tired.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was so much work to try to plan something before, something after, and I was like, "That birthday was exactly what it needed to be and where," and it was one of my smallest, most intimate, and it was perfect. Now next year, I'm acting a fool in the best way.
Listen, but let me say this though, and I appreciate the comments about my good looks. Listen, you
Yes.
gorgeous too, queen. Let me just say
Thank you,
this.
baby.
I told mom, I said, Mom, Jeannie got divorced, and she said she's going to be just fine. She said, Does she know how gorgeous she is? I said, my little mama. I said,
Thank you,
I said, Yes,
mama.
yes. And I said, Yes, mom. You're absolutely right. She is going to be just fine. Just in the natural world. So,
And
yeah,
not to sound conceited, but like really and truly, friend, I wasn't living in the fullness of my beauty, like in spirit too. Cause all that's whatever's on the inside, it starts to come out on the outside, right?
yeah.
And so like I be looking at myself sometimes, I be like, girl, that's you.
And
Like when God gave me the vision on how to like change my look, and I just remember, I don't know if I read it, if I heard it on TV, if it was in church, but I know I got it multiple places where you will be unrecognizable, right? And this time last year, right? Because you was getting ready to come in town for graduation.
I
You
sure
was like a week
was.
away.
I
You were getting ready to come in, yes, almost a week. It's almost been a year.
Wow.
And I was wearing larges and extra larges, had black hair, you know what I mean? And my spirit was in shambles. So, of course, I still look like me because that was one thing God blessed me with this face card, never declined. And so
Man,
I could
yeah,
hide,
yeah,
right? But
yeah.
like, he was like, "No, no, no, I'm finna do a new thing and you're gonna look new and it's gonna show up new and you're just gonna be different." And he has done that thing from the inside out. And so thank you, Mom, for speaking life.
Absolutely.
And I had said this in the beginning of last year. I was like, I'm not holding back. I said people better get ready.
You can't hold back, and neither am I, because
Mhm.
the other thing is we already look good, so birds of a feather flock together. And now we have, who would have thought, Jeannie? We are calling each other doctor.
Listen.
No, like for real. I know the pain and the ups and downs and the rigor you went through.
Mhm. Mhm.
My advisor didn't play. She is my angel, but
Mhm.
she does not play. And that's what you want. That's why I moved all the way out here to work with her, right? We
Yep.
I said that because a lot of in this day and time, people can get PhD overnight and the internet kind of, these wacky things. No, no, no. For the listeners, we are real PhDs. Went through rigor. We went in person. We did how you're supposed to do. The old traditional way, go to school and sit in class and be there in person. So you
Mm.
can learn
Mm.
what you need to learn because then you're more effective and then you have more an appreciation. We have more of appreciation
Mhm.
for these degrees because we did the work
Listen,
that
man,
God
when I
allowed
came,
us to.
yes, I came in my cohort was only 5 people. Two dropped off within the first 2 weeks. Then within the first couple of years, once she dropped off, she went and got her doctorate somewhere else. So she did finish. I need to check back with one more because this journey is not for the faint of heart. So on any day, there was only like two or three of us in class. If any one of us was gone, I never had a day where it was just me and the professor, but it would be two or three of us in class. And I'm sharing that to give y'all context. If you're listening, if you're watching, that like we make up less than 2%
Huh,
of the world
yeah, of the world.
population, people that have PhD. So you talk about being chosen and then chosen again, being set apart,
Mhm.
it's double.
Absolutely.
And it's not by coincidence that he chose you and I to do this. And God has his people and the spaces and the places to be the light on purpose. He's putting us in position for such a time as this.
Mhm.
Look at the work that you're doing. Look at what your dissertation focused on
Mhm. Yeah.
for such a time as this.
Such a time, and who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, clearly, we know how to talk and we could go on and on
We
and
could,
on.
we could.
So, what I'm going to do is start to wrap us up a little bit, right? Like, because you dropped so much good knowledge and wisdom. I also want to make sure that I leave the audience with some practical steps to just build off of what you shared about your routine, right? Because and one of my other guests, he talks about like your routine, like it's your need, your routine, your choice, right, in terms of what you build for yourself. So some of those things, and this goes with you. So in addition to using those like declaring affirmations that are targeted at your identity, because that's the way that the enemy becoming, y'all, he becoming for your identity.
Mhm.
So you need to make those affirmations about your identity that affirm who you are and whose you are. Number one, that can really help you in faith so that you can separate it, that he can't shake you and be like Jesus, it is written. Okay. When Satan come, you know your scripture. You can tell him, nope, get out of here. I'm uniquely and wonderfully made. So if you try to get in your head with the doubt, and that goes with scripture. So those affirmation scriptures are affirmations, right? But like use them. That is your scripture is your weapon. That is, it's your shield too. It's so many different things. So using that. So you don't got to be a biblical scholar. You don't got to be a theologist. You don't got to go to divinity school.
Not at all.
Just pick up the book. Get the Bible app on your phone.
And say it out loud because there's power in the tongue.
And that right there is what confuses the enemy. So this is why we always have to stay praising God, because that's what we putting out there. That's how you trick the enemy. Always speak life, always speaking positivity. And I remember one of my dear friends, she told me that she called my positivity toxic one time.
Oh,
She did.
okay.
She did, 'cause she was it was too much. It was too much because, like, but that was also part of how I had to get through life and all the things that were that I had to get through as a child,
Mhm, mhm.
right?
Right,
That's
right.
separate from what I then had to endure to even get to now, right? But that it was, yeah, she was like, it was toxic positivity. I was like, is there such a thing? Like, I had to look it up. But like I get it, but to me, I think what she's saying is if sometimes if we're too quick to jump to the positive and you jump over the things, right? Like that can be dismissive, it could be invalidating, that sort of thing. And I was like, I understand that now, right? Like, because that was before I was really in my clinical bag. So I was like, I get it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
the power of words, and we can also use those things to reprogram our mind, because when we say it out loud, we think it, right? And a lot of times we're visualizing it. So we speak it, which means we hear it. And even when you think it, you're hearing it again, right? So, like, your body is processing this 5 plus times.
Mm,
This message is being absorbed by your mind, your body, and your spirit. And it does, your words do something on a cellular level and in a spiritual level, right?
they do.
And so we have to speak those things. And then that next thing, we got to surrender control. We talked about this a little bit too, like letting go of the how, taking our hands off of it and letting Him. We definitely have to do that. And then, baby, that waiting season, embracing
Oh,
God's
yeah,
timing.
yeah. Oof.
This season is where people get caught up. This is where they get tricked up out of their destiny.
Mhm.
Who's that? Esau, he traded his inheritance for a bowl of stew
Oh, yeah, yeah.
because he was exhausted and wouldn't wait. Couldn't even think straight, and that's when the enemy gonna come for y'all.
Mhm. That's good,
Okay,
that's good.
listen. And then finally, oh, Juan, you said this. This came from grandma.
Oh, yeah.
Take that one small step towards faith, and God will carry you the rest of the way.
You have to take the first step. Whether I don't care whether you might not be working on or trying to work towards a PhD like me and Dr. J. It might be, oh, here I go, more education, JD or MBA. It could be that CDL license or that
Yup,
cosmetology. Why are you sitting
yup.
watching the people on social media do hair? You know,
And you do hair better.
hello, just all
Go and
the
get your
things.
papers.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Or, if you have a background and we know that school isn't for everyone, but if you
It ain't.
have that background to, whatever it may be a personal
And you
trainer,
don't
whatever.
God will give you your certification.
Hello.
If this is your calling and your purpose, God gonna make it so that everything gonna move how it need to move. All you just gotta move. You
Exactly.
gotta go. Yep,
Exactly, and that's why I wanted to give those, other examples to your listeners, you know,
absolutely.
because that's important. Mhm.
Because higher education is not for everybody. Everybody's not called to do that. And it doesn't mean that you can't do it, but that's not what God put you here for.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not what He put you here for. All right. Doc. So we're gonna close it out with the signature question. If you could leave our audience with one powerful truth to help them to rise in faith and thrive in purpose, what would it be? Do not look like I am stripping you up, baby. You got a whole dissertation done, you got a bachelor's, a master's, a PhD, and you over here looking like,
Yeah, it's because, this is a really monumental part of this, conversation and interview, so,
all right.
okay, um, hmm,
Yeah, go sip your water.
one okay, I have, like, 2 things I wanna leave. Is that okay?
Hey,
I know you said
we
one.
taking all of this, we giving this for free. Come on, drop it on us, bless us.
So, because the I'm started or the my topic is, fear over faith, right? Am I saying it right? Or fear over faith?
Faith over fear.
Thank you. Faith over fear. Look at me saying it backwards. Faith over fear. I'm
You
gonna
see
be
how the enemy try to slide up in here?
listen, but we not gonna let him.
No, we do win faith over fear.
When I think about, faith over fear, I can't help myself. I am such a Detroit I'm a Detroiter. I'm a Detroit kid, so I wanna leave this with your listeners, and there's definitely some words to go along with it. Just a little snippet, okay? It's just, I have the faith to see the invisible, expect the incredible, receive the impossible. I
Mm.
have the faith that can conquer anything. And that's just the first verse. I had to at least do that first verse. That is from, I gotta say the song, Faith That Conquers, Detroit gospel living legend, Vanessa Bell Armstrong. That song came out when we were like babies, like 84.
Yeah. Can we just talk about how you just flowed from singing to talking so seamlessly? Like, I'm not just gonna let you just do that. Like that flex, first of all, y'all, I didn't even know he was gonna sing, but I'm also not surprised because my friend will bust out in a song in a heartbeat. And did. And then right back into conversation. All right, Vanessa Bill
Listen, that
Armstrong.
song
Mhm.
though, I mean, and
Yeah.
even how she climaxes, she's the original artist, some others sang it, but that song, I could not help but to think of that all day because it's so true to not just, I know I have talked about a lot of my PhD journey, but just my journey in life. You know, I have just growing up, learning and growing, watching my mom go through things and praying
Yeah.
for her. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? A
Yeah.
lot of people see this as the where we are at this point in time in our life, but there are just so many things. But faith,
Come on.
and now the words I will say to everybody out there, I like to say this, everybody out there in podcast land or your listeners,
Listen, that's so funny. Hey, y'all in
listen,
podcast
I love
land.
that. Is I have this not just on my vision board, but I wrote this in the acknowledgments of my dissertation. And that is,
Mm,
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Um, Philippians 4:13, right?
that's it.
And I
Uh-huh.
say that to say this as we close this thing out. The reason why I wanted to bring that up, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me is because as believers, we are a resilient people. And
Mm,
through overcoming challenges, obstacles, and things of that nature, we can achieve our goal through Jesus Christ. I like to say King Jesus, right?
mhm.
Because we do have that. What is it? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It'll give you that faith to
Yes.
conquer anything. There you go.
Anything. Oh, wow. Dr. O, you such an old soul, and I
Yes.
love it. And I think that's another way that we
It,
connected because I was raised by my great
listen,
aunt.
and I
Like,
have parents, and thank God they are still around. But I would tell my mama, I'm going to stay with grandma and I'm going to be with grandpa because, I love grandparents. And I feel too,
mhm.
my mom put it back to me. She said, "You're so blessed. I never got to know my grandparents." And listen, I took that more than the heart. I see grandpa I'm home, you know what I mean? And they my they love it, of
Right.
course, but they, love to see. But I mean, I'm like, "Oh, I always loved my grandparents," but just the fact that, and I've been blessed. I got a I got a nice little handful still here. But because of that,
You are blessed. Mhm.
they were pouring that into me. You talk about the old souls, my folks strong in the faith, and I mean, constantly. My grandparents, how can I sing at the drop of a hat? Well, thankfully, that gift comes from God, and it did, I guess, get better over time,
And it was nurtured.
nurtured. But let
Yes.
me tell you, my grandpa Edwards,
Mm.
Cole, and he was a quartet. He had a quartet group, the Shepherds. My grandpa Craig, a pastor, when he in his golden years, so he lived to be 87. I
Yeah.
chose to go to high school from my grandparents' house the last 2 years because it was close. I'm like, "Mama, why am I getting up
Mhm.
with you in the morning? I can just go to school from grandma and grandpa's house." So, and I would shovel the snow, do the
Yes.
grass. They loved it, okay? My granddad
Yeah.
would be in his recliner after Oprah comes on. Oh god, I wish we had smartphones then. turn Oprah off and just bust out into song. And I'm just sitting there in the hallway just listening to him just singing by yourself, you know what I mean? And so just, a lot of those old,
Yeah.
both of my grandmas can play the piano. It was just in me.
Mm.
And then growing up in Detroit, all them, you know,
Yes, come
singers
on,
and artists that come
Motown.
out of there, right? And that faith,
And let's talk about all them runs you did. I was like, I could tell he grew up in the '90s with them
90s
runs because
and DSA. We used to get in trouble for running too much. We teacher trying to teach us Mozart and Beethoven, and we in the back of the class practicing runs. And I went to school with some cold singers, and I'd be like,
I know you
I was a little
did.
ninth grader.
I
They're like,
know
oh,
you
that's gonna
did.
grow. Well, but yeah, most definitely. I love the. Are you kidding me? The '90s? Yes. We can't forget our '90s
Mm-mm.
runs. And that was spirit of moment. So that was just, it was on my heart.
Exactly,
I hope your listeners
exactly.
so that okay.
Listen, they got blessed today. I hope they understand and know. All right. So now, listeners, viewers, this is your call to action. I want you to reflect. Where in your life is fear holding you back? And what step is God calling you to take, right? As Dr. O told y'all, all you make the first step and God's going to do the rest, right? We're going to let go of the how. And then for your action, I actually want you to journal this time. Write down a time when God led you through an uncertain season. So, what you're doing here is you are documenting the receipts because data supports the fact that you are more likely to succeed than fail. This is your reminder. So, go and get your receipts together. And finally, we're going to leave you affirmed. I walk by faith, not by sight. I trust that God's plan for me is greater than my fears. All right. Dr. O, if the people want to stay in touch and follow you, your work, and all of that, where can they find you?
Okay, so they can find me on, we'll start with, I guess, Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram. And I am so that's all lowercase letters, DTHE_outstanding, and then the number one, not the word one, the number one. And then you'll find me. You can also find um, I have an LLC. It's taking a different shift right now, but you can also follow me on the Outstanding One Solutions. I'm on Facebook as Owan Edwards. You have to spell my name properly. Capital O apostrophe capital Juan. Last name Edwards. You should know how to spell that. But if you don't get that first name right, you'll never find me. And then the same
Mm-mm.
for my folks in the professional world, and they want to find me on LinkedIn. I'm because that one I post about my research on all of them, and actually I have something coming out like
Ooh,
the
what you
research.
got?
Yeah, I just I published an article through the Vermont Journal, and it is on a dissertation. So I know, right? I was
Told you my friends are a god
listen,
deal.
that is
Okay, let's
and then
go.
some other things later on in the year I can't talk about yet, but stay tuned.
Hey, stay tuned, and you're welcome to come back and give an
Thank
update,
you.
okay? Because listen, I already know the people, they already done fell in love with you. They following right now. Your numbers is going up, subscribers and all the things and the links and connections, friend
Listen,
requests.
I appreciate it.
Um, but thank
Uh,
you again, friend, for coming
yep.
here, spending this time with me. And I know, right, like you out here changing the world, you could have been doing other things, but thank you for coming and sharing your experiences and sharing your faith, so that we are doing our part in the Great Commission, right? Like and that this reaches who it needs to reach, touch who it needs to touch, and how it needs to. So thank you again. And thank you all for tuning in for another episode of Rise and Thrive with Dr. J. Nicole. Please remember, episodes drop every Tuesday morning, right? When you rise, it's available 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget, the merch is available. Just go to www.evolvewithdrjnicole.com, click on Rise and Thrive Podcast, and you can click the link to shop the merch. Or you can just check, links in my bio. It's also linked in the bottom here. But get the merch, bring your faith. So yeah, thank you, and we'll see y'all again next time. And thank you again, Dr. Owen Edwards, for joining us
Thank you for
today.
having me. It was a blessing, an honor, and a privilege. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. I
Love you
love you,
too.
friend.